about 70 million people here in the United States are about to be thrown into the fire, and they will be asked to fend for themselves. Now, I'm going to address why this is and what the Biden administration is doing about it. But the problem is they're actually making it worse. It's not getting better. 70 million people are going to be hit with this massive, massive crisis, and nobody sees this coming. I'm going to break down what's going on in just a moment, talk about what is going to happen tonight, and address why 70 million people may be screwed, even though they think the Biden administration has their back. So I'll break that down in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So what is the Biden administration doing that is potentially going to impact 70 million people? Well, it has to do with funding. It has to do with current legislation. And it has to do with Social Security. But it all starts tonight. Here's the reason why. Tonight, President Biden is going to call, in the State of the Union address that's going to happen tonight, he's calling for business tax hikes, middle-class tax cuts, and a lower deficit. Now, here's the problem. When it comes to business tax hikes, those businesses are going to put the responsibility over on the American people, which means you will pay more money. As far as middle-class tax cuts, well, guess what? Republicans are not going to go for that at this time because they're not just going to give one class a cut. Not if we're going to see tax hikes for businesses. And then when it comes to lowering the deficit, guess what? We cannot lower a deficit when we continue to spend money that we do not have. But I want to touch on business tax hikes because here's what's happening. We have a crisis on our hands. And according to many, they say Social Security's day of reckoning is upon us, and it's coming sooner than we think. But here's the big concern. The Social Security Trust receives their money, and they spend it all. Okay? Here's the other problem. Social Security's trust, this is a trust fund that will be insolvent within the next 10 years. The other issue is it's getting its money by taxing the American people. So the American people, if you work, you pay 6.2%. Your employer also pays 6.2% of whatever you make, which comes out to 12.4%. That's what every single American that works is being taxed with. Well, here's the issue. What the Biden administration is trying to do at this time, and they are somewhat successful at doing this, they're causing inflation. Prices are going up. Well, if prices go up, what is your only option? You have to make more money. If you make more money, what does that mean? You pay more in taxes. If you pay more in taxes, that means Social Security's trust fund is actually getting more money than before. So do you think the Biden administration really wants to cut back on inflation and bring prices down and we see deflation or disinflation even more? No, they don't. But this is where many people believe that the Biden administration, talking about Bidenomics, that this is working. It's not working. This is actually going in the wrong direction. I want to show you this as well. Okay, look at this. It says Biden called for protecting Social Security and Medicare in last year's State of the Union. Now, advocates hope for action. Over the last year or so, President Biden and the Biden administration have done very little for Social Security and Medicare. They've been saying that they're going to provide $200 per month to Social Security recipients. This has been going on since, I believe, 2019. Since before President Biden was voted into office, he promised $200 per month for every single Social Security recipient. Well, if you're on Social Security, have you received that $200 per month boost? No. Yes, you got a cost of living adjustment, but you get that every single year. You didn't get the $200 boost. What the Biden administration says is they helped you. They provided cuts. So your expenses were lower. They brought those down. And on top of that, you had cost of living adjustments. So your cost of living adjustments combined with the decrease in some of your expenses, that more than makes up for the $200 per month. Well, not necessarily. And this, again, is part of the problem. This is why 70 million people here in the United States who are currently receiving some form of Social Security, this is why they're being screwed. Because they are being told that, hey, we're helping you. We are doing what you asked us to do. When in the end, are they really? Because again, by 2034, the Social Security's trust fund will become insolvent. That's what we know. Now I want to read you some things. Look at this. How did we get here? It says since 2010, Social Security has paid out more in benefits and expenses than it has collected in taxes and other non-interest income. It says in 2022, the program ran a deficit of $22.1 billion according to the Social Security Board of Trustees. Put simply, it took in $22.1 billion less in income, this is taxes and interest, than it spent on benefits and administration. It says this trend of costs exceeding income is expected to continue over the 75-year projection period through 2097. The total funding shortfall for this period is expected to be $22.4 trillion. Add that on top of the $35 trillion we are currently in debt. It says after the trust fund depletion in 2034, income is projected to be sufficient to pay 80% of benefits, and this will decline to 74% in 2097. It says this program hasn't been radically altered since it was first designed in 1935. So we are coming up on 90 years. So it's been 90 years since the Social Security Administration has really, pretty much Congress has reformed Social Security. This is a massive, massive undertaking. And this is one of the reasons why many people are speculating that Social Security will fail before it ever gets reformed. One thing I can tell you is that President Biden is going to call for many things tonight during his State of the Union address. What is included, if anything gets done, is he going to tout the efforts of Congress and his administration for what they've done over the past handful of years? We don't know. All I can tell you is when you watch this or when you read about this, be somewhat suspicious about what's going to happen. Question everything. Because as of right now, not a lot has been done since his previous State of the Union address. In the previous State of the Union address, he mentioned many things. Many, many things. He mentioned immigration, which was a complete failure. He mentioned economics, inflation. He's brought that down, yes. We've seen a disinflation. Jobs are lower. There's less unemployment. But at the same time, there's also more people entering into the United States. Just the other day, I talked about how President Biden has flown in more than 320,000 immigrants into the U.S. These are people that applied for asylum in their own countries, not even in the United States, applied using an app that you can download on your phone. That's how they applied for asylum. And then it's on them to pay for their flight into the United States, and they get to come into almost any airport that they want to. And guess what? Immediately, touching foot in U.S. soil, they can get a work permit. They're allowed to work. So that right there, President Biden brought in over 320,000 people. Some say it's close to 360,000 people in secret overnight flights that most people had no clue were even coming. But again, I bring this up because right now, what the Biden administration seems to be doing based on all reports, they're trying to find ways around Congress. Not to work with Congress. Find ways around Congress so that they can get their agenda passed. Now, all I can tell you is if this is the way things are going to work, do we even need Congress? Is Congress even a benefit? Or is the administration, whichever administration is in the Oval Office, are they going to just find different loopholes and workarounds in order to get their agenda through without touching the other party? Well, we're going to see, but all I can tell you right now is 70 million people are about to be impacted because of the decisions Congress and the president are about to make. So we'll see what happens moving forward. All I can tell you is I will be here every step of the way. I'll fill you in on all the latest news and updates, but that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one.